Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to be tackling something that impacts pretty much everything we do.
Yeah?
Social skills.
Yeah, definitely.
But let's be real.
Okay.
The whole field can feel like a tangled mess of jargon and overlapping ideas.
Yeah.
You've got emotional intelligence, soft skills, charisma.
It's a lot.
It's enough to make your head spin.
Absolutely.
Ever feel like you're trying to assemble furniture with instructions written in a different language?
Oh, yeah.
That's what a lot of the research on social skills can feel like.
Yeah, it's true. And it's a problem that researchers are finally starting to address.
Okay.
The source material for this deep dive is a fascinating 2024 article from the Journal of Organizational Behavior called Trimming the Fat, Identifying 15 Underlying Concepts from 26 in the Social Skills Domain.
Okay.
What's so exciting is that this article tries to cut through the noise and give us a clearer understanding of what actually makes someone socially skilled.
Okay, so maybe a personal anecdote is appropriate here. I recently tried to improve my networking skills by reading some articles online.
Oh.
Big mistake.
Hmm.
It felt like every article I read was contradicting the one before it, and honestly, I ended up more confused than I started.
I can see why.
Yeah.
The research paper we're diving into today actually points out 3 major problems in the field:
Okay.
redundancy, drift, and conflation.
So it's not just me then.
No, not at all.
Those sound a bit technical, though.
Okay.
Can we break those down?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Redundancy is essentially having a toolbox with 10 different screwdrivers that all do the same thing.
Okay.
For example,
Yeah.
interpersonal acumen and social intelligence both basically boil down to understanding people.
Okay.
Just different labels for the same idea.
So it's like those kitchen gadgets that claim to do 10 different things, but really you could just use a knife.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, drift is a little trickier.
Okay.
It's when the definition of a term changes over time.
Okay.
Imagine you're trying to build a house and your hammer keeps turning into a wrench.
Oh, no.
It makes it hard to get anything done.
Yeah.
The study uses self-presentation tactics as an example.
Okay.
Sometimes it includes nonverbal cues, sometimes it doesn't.
Wow.
Super confusing.
So basically, researchers aren't always speaking the same language,
Right.
which makes it hard to compare their findings.
Exactly.
Okay, what about conflation?
Conflation is like that multi-tool that's trying to be a saw and a measuring tape.
Okay.
You end up with a tool that doesn't do either job well.
Right.
A key example is social intelligence, which is often used to describe both the ability to understand people and the actions you take based on that understanding. Those are really 2 separate things.
Okay, so the field is a bit of a mess. But what's the solution? This research article must offer some way forward, right?
It does.
Okay.
The researchers used a clever combination of traditional research methods and machine learning, analyzing 756 definitions across 26 existing social skills concepts. It was definitely a robust approach.
Okay.
What they found is that the whole field can be distilled down to 15 core concepts that capture the essence of social skill. They organized these into a framework called the Social Skills Framework, or SSF.
The SSF.
Yeah.
Imagine that blueprint for building social competence that you were looking for. So instead of 26 vague and overlapping concepts, we got 15 clearly defined ones.
Yes.
I'm already feeling less overwhelmed.
I'm glad to hear that.
Tell me more about the SSF.
Okay.
How are these 15 concepts organized?
The SSF groups them into 4 main categories:
Okay.
social antecedents, social determinants, social behaviors, and social outcomes.
Okay, let's start with social antecedents.
Sure.
What are those?
Think of social antecedents as the foundation of your social skills.
Okay.
They're the stable individual differences that influence how you approach social situations.
Okay.
It's your starting point.
So things that are more ingrained in your personality. Not necessarily skills you can learn, but more like predispositions.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
The research identifies 3 key social antecedents: social comprehension, agreeableness, and sociability.
All right, social comprehension.
Yes,
That sounds like it's all about understanding other people.
it is. Think of it as having a finely tuned social radar.
Okay.
People with high social comprehension can read others' emotions, understand their motives, and even sense their unspoken desires.
Wow.
They just seem to get people.
So it's like those folks who walk into a room and instantly know who to talk to, how to approach them, what to say.
Exactly.
You just have a knack for it.
It's a fascinating ability.
Yeah.
And this leads us to the next antecedent, which is all about how we choose to interact with those people we're understanding. That's where agreeableness comes in.
Okay. Agreeableness.
Yes.
I feel like I have a decent grasp on this one.
Agreeableness basically reflects how much you prioritize getting along with others. It's about being cooperative, easygoing, and willing to compromise.
So someone high in agreeableness is more likely to go with the flow, avoid conflict, and generally be pleasant to be around.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Now, the third antecedent is all about how you feel in those social situations.
Okay.
That's where sociability comes in.
Sociability.
Uh-huh.
So how comfortable you are in social settings.
Yes.
Whether you're a social butterfly or more of a wallflower.
That's the gist of it.
Okay.
Sociable people genuinely enjoy interacting with others.
Okay.
They feel energized by social gatherings and find it easy to connect with new people.
So our social antecedents, social comprehension, agreeableness, and sociability, these are kind of like the raw materials of our social skills, right?
Yes.
They set the stage, but they're not the whole picture.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
They're the foundation,
Yeah.
but there's more to the story.
Okay.
That's where social determinants come in.
Yeah.
Think of these as the aspects of social skill that are more malleable, the things you can learn and improve over time.
So this is where we move from innate traits to learned skills.
Exactly.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more about these social determinants.
Okay.
What are they?
The research identifies 5 key social determinants. Social awareness is all about reading the room and adapting your behavior to different social contexts. You wouldn't act the same way at a rock concert as you would at a funeral, right?
Right.
People with high social awareness are adept at picking up on those subtle social cues and adjusting their behavior accordingly.
So it's not just about knowing the rules of etiquette.
Right.
It's about understanding the unspoken dynamics of a situation.
Exactly.
That sounds pretty complex.
It is nuanced, but it's a skill you can develop with practice.
Oh.
The more you expose yourself to different social situations, the better you'll become at reading those subtle cues.
It makes me think about that party scene in movies where someone makes a joke at exactly the wrong time and you just cringe for them.
Oh yeah, I've seen those scenes.
Social awareness is knowing when to make that joke or maybe just keep it to yourself.
Exactly.
It's about reading the emotional temperature of the room.
Yes.
And speaking of navigating tricky situations, that's where negotiation skills come into play. That sounds very businessy.
Yeah,
Is it really relevant to everyday social interactions?
it absolutely is.
Okay.
It's about finding solutions that work for everyone involved, whether you're hammering out a contract or deciding where to go for dinner with friends.
So whether you're dealing with a conflict at work or trying to pick a movie with your partner, strong negotiation skills can come in handy.
Precisely. It's all about understanding each person's wants and needs, finding common ground, and making compromises that benefit everyone.
And, of course, communication is at the heart of all of this.
That is
Communication skills.
Yes.
Now, that seems pretty straightforward, right?
You'd think so.
Yeah.
It's not just about speaking clearly.
Okay.
It's about mastering both verbal and nonverbal communication, knowing when to crack a joke, when to listen intently, how to read body language.
It makes me think of those people who can walk into a room full of strangers and somehow strike up a conversation with anyone.
Oh, yeah.
They just seem to have this magnetism.
That's a great observation.
Yeah.
And there's actually a social determinant that relates to that magnetism.
Yeah.
Social self-efficacy.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Okay.
It sounds empowering.
Social self-efficacy is all about believing in your ability to succeed in social situations.
Okay.
It's that inner confidence that you can handle whatever social challenges come your way.
So if you believe you can make a good impression, you're more likely to actually do it. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. People with high social self-efficacy are more likely to take social risks, initiate conversations, and put themselves out there, even if it feels a bit scary.
That's true.
I'm starting to see how all these concepts connect.
Good.
So we've covered social awareness, negotiation skills, communication skills, and social self-efficacy.
Right.
What's the last social determinant?
The final determinant is a bit more complex.
Okay.
It's called impression management motives.
Okay, that sounds a bit calculated. Well, tell me more.
We all manage impressions to some extent.
Okay.
Think about choosing your outfit for a job interview or highlighting your accomplishments on a date.
Right, we all want to put our best foot forward.
Exactly.
But I can see how it could become a problem if it's all about creating a false persona.
That's the key distinction.
Okay.
Healthy impression management is about presenting yourself authentically while understanding how your actions influence how others perceive you.
So it's not about being fake, it's about being aware of the signals you're sending. And that awareness is crucial for navigating social situations effectively.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got our foundations, social antecedents, and our malleable skills. Social determinants.
Right.
What's the next piece of the puzzle?
Now we get to the action.
Okay.
Social behaviors are the observable actions we take to achieve our social goals.
All right, let's dive into those.
Okay, the researchers identify 4 core social behaviors: impression management tactics, exchange tactics, conflict management, and persuasive messaging.
Okay, so impression management tactics are the specific things we do to shape how others see us. It's like putting our social determinants into action.
Precisely. It's about sending signals about your personality, your values, your abilities,
Hmm.
everything from your body language and tone of voice to the stories you tell and the way you dress.
So it's not just what you say, it's how you say it, right? Like
Mm.
someone who wants to project confidence might speak clearly, make eye contact, and use open gestures.
Exactly. And someone who wants to appear approachable might use humor, smile frequently, and engage in active listening.
I'm realizing that I've definitely tried to use impression management tactics before, sometimes successfully, sometimes not so much. Remember that time I tried to impress everyone at that work party with my knowledge of obscure 80s trivia?
Well, let's just say that not everyone shares your passion for 80s trivia. But that brings up an important point. The most effective impression management tactics are those that align with your true self. Authenticity is key.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between presenting yourself in a positive light and staying true to who you are. No one likes a phony. What about these exchange tactics? That sounds a bit like bartering.
It's very similar. Exchange tactics involve offering incentives or rewards to get someone to do what you want. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, is the classic example.
So like offering to help a colleague with a project if they agree to cover for you while you're on vacation.
Exactly. Or offering to cook dinner if your roommate cleans the kitchen. It's a common social strategy, but it's important to use it ethically. Transparency and mutual benefit are essential.
Right, because if it feels too manipulative or one-sided, it's going to backfire. No one wants to feel like they're being used. Okay, what about conflict management? This one feels particularly relevant in today's world.
Couldn't agree more. Conflict is inevitable in any social setting, so knowing how to navigate disagreements constructively is essential. This involves using a balance of assertiveness and cooperation to find resolutions that work for everyone.
So it's not about avoiding conflict altogether, it's about handling it effectively.
Precisely. It's about finding that sweet spot between standing up for yourself and being willing to compromise. Active listening, empathy, and a focus on finding common ground are all key.
It makes me think about those reality shows where people just yell at each other and storm off. Not exactly a model for healthy conflict management.
Definitely not. Those shows highlight what not to do. Effective conflict management is about staying calm, respecting different viewpoints, and working towards a mutually beneficial solution.
So it's similar to impression management in that it's about being adaptable and knowing when to dial up certain behaviors depending on the situation.
Fascinating. What about the last social behavior, persuasive messaging?
Ah, yes, persuasion. This one is all about using communication tactics to influence someone's thoughts or actions.
So crafting compelling arguments, appealing to emotions, using logic and evidence to sway someone to your point of view?
Exactly. Effective persuasion involves understanding your audience, tailoring your message to their values, and building rapport. Think of it as the art of getting people to say yes.
But not in a manipulative way.
Right. Ethical persuasion is about presenting information clearly, respectfully, and with the other person's best interest in mind. It's not about trickery or coercion.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Social antecedents, social determinants, and social behaviors. It's like we're building a house brick by brick. But what about the roof? Where do all these efforts ultimately lead? What are the social outcomes? That's where we see the results of our social efforts. The researchers identify 3 core social outcomes: elaboration likelihood, social competence, and social capital.
Elaboration likelihood sounds intense. What exactly does that mean?
It's actually a fairly simple concept. It refers to how deeply someone processes information. Are they truly engaged with your message, considering it carefully, or are they just skimming the surface?
So if I'm giving a presentation, I want my audience to have high elaboration likelihood, meaning they're hanging on my every word, not checking their phones.
Exactly. And this is influenced by factors like the relevance of the information, your credibility as a speaker, and the overall persuasiveness of your message. Think about it like watching a movie.
Okay.
When a movie is captivating, your elaboration likelihood is high, you're fully immersed. But if it's boring, your mind wanders and your elaboration likelihood plummets.
So it's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it and who you are.
Right.
That makes sense. What about social competence? Isn't that just a fancy way of saying good social skills?
It's related, but there's a specific distinction here. Social competence is the degree to which you achieve your social goals. It's the ultimate measure of success in social interactions.
So if I can effectively persuade someone, resolve a conflict peacefully, or build a strong, lasting relationship, those are all signs of social competence.
Precisely, it's about putting all those social skills to work and achieving desired outcomes.
Okay, and lastly, we have social capital. This one has always intrigued me.
Social capital is all about the benefits you reap from your relationships. It's the trust, goodwill, and support you build with others. Think of it as the currency of the social world.
So the more social capital you have, the richer you are, socially speaking.
You could say that strong social capital can open doors, create opportunities, and make life more fulfilling. It's a valuable asset to cultivate.
Wow, we've covered a ton of ground here. It feels like we finally assembled that social skills furniture. But how do we actually apply all of this? I'm guessing this research offers some guidance.
Absolutely. This research is not just about understanding social skills. It's about giving us the tools to actually develop them. Now that we have this clear framework, we can pinpoint our strengths and weaknesses and focus on specific areas for improvement.
So it's like having a personalized roadmap for building better social skills.
Exactly. Let's say you struggle with public speaking. This framework can help you identify the root cause. Maybe you have low social self-efficacy and fear being judged, or perhaps you need to work on your persuasive messaging techniques. By understanding the underlying issue, you can tailor your approach to development.
That makes so much sense. Instead of just trying random tips and tricks, we can now be more strategic and focused in our efforts. It's exciting.
It is, and this research has implications beyond individual development. Imagine using this framework to design more effective social skills training programs for students or employees. We could equip people with the tools they need to navigate the complexities of the social world with confidence and grace.
That would be amazing. It feels like this research has the potential to really shift how we think about and approach social skills.
I agree. It's groundbreaking work that's bringing much-needed clarity to a field that's often shrouded in confusion.
So we've explored the 15 core concepts of the social skill framework. We've talked about how these concepts interact, how they influence our behavior, and ultimately how they shape our social outcomes. But the big question is, what does this all mean for you?
That's the exciting part. This research isn't just about abstract theories, it's about empowering you to take control of your social life. You now have a framework for understanding your strengths and weaknesses, targeting areas for improvement, and ultimately becoming a more socially competent and successful individual.
It's like we've given you the keys to the social skills kingdom, but before we wrap up, I have one last question that's been nagging at me. We've talked about what makes someone socially skilled, but what about the flip side? What makes someone socially unskilled?
That's a great question, and it's something that the researchers are beginning to explore. One area of focus is identifying social red flags, behaviors that might signal a lack of social competence or even malicious intent.
So being able to spot those red flags could help us avoid negative social interactions or even protect ourselves from manipulation.
Exactly. Just as we can learn to develop positive social skills, we can also learn to recognize and avoid those who might use their social skills for less than honorable purposes.
That's a sobering thought, but an important one. It highlights the fact that social skills are a powerful tool that can be used for good.
Precisely. And that's why it's so important to approach the development of social skills with awareness, intention, and a commitment to ethical behavior.
Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, but hopefully you're walking away with a clearer understanding of what social skills are, why they matter, and how you can develop them to achieve greater success and fulfillment in your life.
And remember, this is just the beginning. The world of social skills research is constantly evolving, and there's always more to learn and explore.
So keep those social radars tuned, keep practicing those skills, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of human interaction